I know. And then at the end of it, guess what happened, Bradley? They came in and did some weird stuff. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. We're not doing this because we are a woman-based housing. We have to stay that way. It keeps our women safe.
Of course.
So you already get what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I agree with what you said. That's for damn sure.
We have to, but we still help everyone. Whoever comes to us, we still help.
You can't have chicks with dicks living in the house.
Well, those aren't women's.
They're
not.
Hey, that whole LGBTQ, whatever it was, it's
alphabet.
Trump already got rid of the T.
Yeah,
I know that.
We love gays. We don't discriminate, but
we don't discriminate against
all the people trying to come in and take over the sports and push their agendas.
Yeah, Trump's stopping all that.
No.
Folks, welcome. I'm letting you watch live. I'm about to tape an episode here of Dropping Bombs with Annie Lobert. If you guys don't know who she is, stay tuned because I think your jaw's gonna hit the floor when we get into it. But all you're doing is watching us tape an episode. You're just watching it live. So feel lucky because I'll delete it right after the live airs. But if you guys have questions, throw them in there because I can see your comments. I might include one of your comments into the show. It just depends. But I might ignore you the whole time as well because we're actually taping a podcast. You're just watching it live the whole time. Actually, no. If I say cut it, and then everyone that was like glued to it and they want to hear the rest, they got to go to droppingbombs.com and subscribe to the podcast like everybody else does. Or go to bradlea.tv with my YouTube channel and watch the rest of it there. But I might just leave it go for you guys also. I might just let it go the whole time. And you might not even be interested. All we're going to be talking about is like crazy shit. And by the way, someone you don't see off the screen, if you remember the band Striper with a Y, the old Striper. And by the way, Jason did know who it was. And he goes, dude, I want to meet him. In fact, we used to, so like he knows exactly who you are. And I remember the band Striper. It's just, I didn't listen to a lot of hard rock back then. Like I didn't even understand Metallica. I just thought it was a bunch of screaming. But then when I started listening to like One and Sandman and like classic Metallica, I'm like, dude, Metallica's like freaking unbelievable. Then I started getting into harder music. And by then, I don't know if you guys were still touring or what, but like Whitesnake, I couldn't tell you a Whitesnake song, but I remember Whitesnake. Because of the video that David, what's his name, did with what's her name? Yeah, I forget who.
You don't remember the names that part.
Anyway. No, but I remember that video, and that was I think a Whitesnake video just because of that chick that was in it.
Well, Striper, and I just say this on behalf of him. You'll know them by their stripes because they're black and yellow, and it's that emergency symbol for all the highways, the caution symbol.
Oh yeah.
That's
I remember that.
Yeah. They tease them and say bumblebees.
All right. So folks, listen, we're going to be talking to mainly Annie Lobert, who used to be a call girl.
I did.
And has a whole story. So stick around, keep watching, share it out, quit being stingy. Let's see if we can get 1,000 people watching live. And then fill them in on what's going on. If anybody in the comments like, what the hell's going on here? Who's this hooker? Okay, hold on.
Listen up or run for cover. From the people who haven't to the people who need it. The real Brad Lea is dropping.
What it is, Brad Lea back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I got a freaking story for you. Annie Lobert's in the house. If you don't know who she is, stick around. You're about to. But let's just say she's lived a life, probably learned a lot of lessons along the way. Thankfully, sounds like you're fine now. And not only you're fine, but you're out helping other people kind of get out of the trap you found yourself in. Would that be fair?
Yes.
She's got a book out called Fallon. It's spelled Fallon, which again, that's a double entendre.
It is.
And she's out there helping women that are in her position or with the position she used to be in. And she's helping them left and right. And ultimately, why? Well, because you found Jesus.
Yeah. And I'm better. And who wouldn't want to give someone something better?
True that.
So it's all
That's
about
what I do, by
upgrading.
the way. I have the same attitude.
Yes.
I always say, if we can help everyone become more successful, wouldn't we live in a more successful world? Like, wouldn't that
Oh my
improve the
goodness.
world for me too?
We would.
But if I just improve it for myself and no one else gets any better, well, then how does that help the world? It doesn't. And guess what? You're living in a more toxic world.
Yes. And I think about your dropping bombs, logo, and just that thought of, had we not dropped that bomb, what's going on with nuclear energy? And also we learned from that. We learned so much from it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate it had to end lives, but.
Okay. So folks, Annie Lobert, she is obviously currently and now an author, speaker, and advocate for survivors of sex trafficking, hookering, or prostitution, if you call it that.
All sex industry.
And the founder of Hookers for Jesus.
That's right.
Which is basically a nonprofit organization that helps women escape sex trafficking and exploitation by pimps.
Yep.
Ultimately.
Most
And
pimps.
themselves even, I bet.
Yes.
Because
yes.
they're not all hookers have pimps, correct?
Not everyone, but I would say about 95%, 90 to 95% do.
Now, do you think hookers or call girl, and by the way, hooker and a call girl, in my mind, two different things too.
And they would say to you, or I would say to you back then, no, I am not a hooker. I'm not a prostitute. I'm a call girl. And I would feel insulted, Bradley, but here's
you
the
should
truth.
have, because a hooker reminds me of some toothless, overweight
Or-
crack whore wanting
Exactly.
$15.
Shoot, and having needles out of their arm, laying on the street.
Yeah, but a call girl, even though
it sounds
the
a
end
little more
result's the same, you're still
nicer.
getting busy.
Yeah, you're
They-
still.
They also weren't cheap.
No,
right?
I was
They were-
not cheap.
They were high-end
Mhm.
call girls
Oh, make sure.
that supposedly you'd dream of.
If you think about this, if you're going to sell yourself, and I mean in that way, women, men, and there's men out there doing this too, obviously, you're not going to do it for cheap because it's a lot you're doing. You're risking your life. So if I'm going to come into this industry, not out of survivorship, but because I want to make quick money, which that's what it was, I'm going to make sure I'm going to charge the best I can charge.
Yeah, but you must have had a brain in your head. So you weren't strung out on drugs, clearly.
No, I was completely sober.
Well, if you were a crackhead, you'd be sucking for $15.
Maybe
and
10.
Because all you want is another hit.
Exactly. Because you're trying to feed your addiction. You're trying to make sure you're not going to go into convulsions.
And are you able to help people that far down
Absolutely.
the hole?
Absolutely. Yes. And we
So if I have any crack whore prostitutes listening, this is the episode for you to get the help you need.
Nice. Let's be nice, Bradley, because at one point they might have been
that is nice. Is that mean though?
I mean, to them, it might be.
Well, do they not realize that they're hooked on crack and they're doing crazy crap to get more of it?
The self-realization is there, but sometimes when you're so high and strung out, they don't even know.
So you're saying be more kind and gentle.
Well, I mean, not to just be harsh with the word part, because this is the reason why I actually called it Hookers for Jesus. Not because of you, but the pimps and some of the men that I'd met that were, they were tricks, and we call them tricks, but now we call them buyers. They bought and sold our
Why do they call them tricks, by the way?
Because tricks, Marks, Johns, because you're turning a trick, you're taking over a mark, you're basically tricking someone, trick or treat, out of their money for something they want, because they're not always going to get what they want. You can promise them the world, tell them, hey, I'm going to be here for up to an hour. But you and I both know most men that are hungry and have a large appetite for sex, they might not go a whole hour. They might go 1 minute. And then I wave goodbye. This is what I used to do. Bye-bye. I told you it was up to an hour.
Have you ever seen a micro penis?
I don't even know what that is.
A micro penis.
I've seen no penises before.
What do you mean? They were cut off?
The first time I ever turned my first trick, when I became, and by the way, I was not with a pimp at the time. My girlfriend taught me, because she had learned from another girl that had a pimp in Hawaii, how to be sold. So she brought me in, and we had these two guys from Japan. They couldn't speak English. I walked in the room, $500, give me the money. I took my clothes off, done. I didn't touch him, didn't see it. So when you say mini penis, I didn't get to see anything. Because
Well, that's just someone paying you $500 to get naked.
well, he couldn't control himself.
So
And-
he came in his underwear.
He did.
Yeah, but that's, again, you got lucky. But
But
what
that's what I thought how every single person I met was going to be. And that's a lie
but
too.
you're telling me that he gave you money, $500, and you weren't like willing to fuck if he wanted to?
No, I wasn't looking, because my girlfriend taught me you don't have to do that. Just get the money. And if you can, we'll run out of here.
Ooh,
That
so
was
you
our
were going to
plan.
roll his ass.
If that's what you want to call it.
Well,
The
that's,
thing-
that's
I- you
what
know
I'd
what?
call
I
it.
wasn't honest.
And
I don't
guy's
want-
giving you $500 because he thinks he's going to be able to do something
Yeah.
with you.
So here's the thing. To be honest with you, I was an honest call girl. Or if you want to put it in the other language, honest hooker. I was someone that if I told you I was going to do something, I did it. And
So
if-
you would tell people I ain't doing anything for that, but I'll go in the room
exactly.
and
That's
take
how
my
you
clothes off.
upsell. That's how you upsell. Hey, listen, if you really want to be with me the real way, you want the girlfriend experience, which I never did, by the way. Barely ever did that. If I did, oh, that was big money. And if you think about this, Bradley, this is in the 80s and the early 90s. So
Were you
money
in
was
Vegas?
so different. I was in Las Vegas. When I first started, I was in Hawaii, went back to Minnesota, almost got killed twice. I became an exotic dancer after that. That was the first couple months.
And stopped hooking or
I
just
stopped-
jerked
I
them off in the
stopped.
VIP room?
No, I never went to the VIP room. When I was working as an exotic dancer, I literally danced like for real. We had stages, we had to actually perform. And we would dance for, I'd come out on a big, like, a long train type of stage. And then all the men would stand around or sit around and they'd give us money to dance for each one of them.
Yeah, I know what it.
Yeah,
I
you
know
understand.
What it look, I know what
The
they do.
VIP rooms didn't happen until a little later.
Ah,
We still could sit with our clients, so to speak, our buyers, and have drinks with them. And that's when you start turning tricks on the side. And I did end up doing that later because I could not resist, because stripping doesn't pay the bills, but getting paid to have intimacy with someone pays a higher percentage of bills.
yeah.
So that's what I ended up doing again. And that's right about the time that I met my quote unquote boyfriend, AKA undercover pimp, undercover trafficker.
So he turned you into a professional.
He didn't really do much of turning because I was already turned out. That's what they call it in the game. I just kind of shared with him what I was doing. I said, men are really stupid. Sorry, no pun intended, because you're a man. So, but they're like suckers. They're tricks. They're Johns. They're Marks. I mean, all I got to do is tell someone, give me $2,000 and I'll do this for you, and they do it.
Well, I would argue that women are the suckers because
And I would say that
because if
too.
they held out, they would have got 20.
Exactly. So when a girl doesn't understand that, and to me, my mind, because I was a teenager still, because I had a lot of trauma, the part of getting sold and being sold, doing this in the very first place, I didn't exactly come from poverty. However, I had no college money and I wanted to go to college for music. And
See, I got so many questions. I can't stand it.
my dad was an alcoholic. He was a dry drunk, didn't drink for 40 years. He was mean. He hit my mom. All I could think of was, I got to get the hell out of here.
How old were you?
When I left my parents' home, 18.
No, when you first decided to take money for some sort of sex, even though you didn't have to do it, you
18,
agree. Did you tell him you weren't having sex?
Yes.
Okay, so that wasn't the first time. There was a first time that somebody said, "I'm going to stick it in you,"
Ugh, this
and
is
you
hard to
knew you
think.
were going to have to do it. What was the first
Yeah,
time?
that was in Minnesota.
And
when
was he
I
a
got back.
good-looking dude or ugly?
I don't remember.
See, because a lot of guys think there's these big old ugly dudes they
There
can't
is,
get
there
laid,
is.
but there's also
good-looking guys too.
of course there is.
Yeah,
There's-
young guys, older guys. You would be so surprised. I mean, I've been with so many different Hollywood people, elites. If I said names, Bradley, and I think I'm actually going to write that book. I'm going to drop names because it's time. They need to be snitched on.
Well, let's
Several of them have
let's
died.
leak one right now that you've never said.
Oh gosh, you really want to make me do this?
Just one. They'll
Okay,
make
well,
people
he's
want to
gone.
buy the book.
Okay, so I'm going to let's do a little game real quick.
Okay.
See if you can guess who it is. Okay, so he was considered a sweetheart when he was a young actor. He was really good friends with Judy Garland. They did a lot of movies together.
Judy Garland.
Yes. Yes.
Like that's
In fact-
ancient.
In fact, he cried to me. He cried to
Who
me.
was it? Cary Grant, Clark Gable. Who? I can't remember. I don't even know who was around Greta Garbo.
Well, he
What's
was
her
a
name?
dancer. He was a dancer. He danced
Fred
a lot. He
Astaire.
sang a lot. He was kind of
Frank
a
Sinatra.
cute teenager.
Cute teenager. I'm
Yeah.
stumped.
And Judy and him were like best.
Judy Garland from
best
Wizard of
friends.
Oz, like
Yes.
ancient old Judy Garland.
Judy Garland that started doing amphetamine
How
when
old
she
are
was
you?
a teenager because he told me.
But how old are you? Or how old was he when he was doing you?
God, I'm gonna think what year that was. It was probably like 91, 1990 maybe.
So how old was he?
92. Oh gosh, he was old. When he got to the door, I looked at him and I said, "Sir, I need to see your ID." He had $500 and I said, "You don't have enough money. It's at the Las Vegas Hilton. You don't have enough money, sir. You need to go down to the casino and get some." He goes, "Well, I know the host." And I said, "Of course you do." I said, "You look like this movie star." He goes, "Well, I'm not him." He turned bright red, started shaking. So he leaves the room, Bradley. He leaves the room. I immediately go into the drawer. Guess what I found?
What?
He left his wallet. So I
And
opened
what
up
did it
his
say?
wallet. He had no money and he
What
had
did it
credit
say?
cards.
What was the name?
Am I just going to do this?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it. Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney.
Yep. Mickey
Oh,
Rooney.
Mickey Rooney. Well,
Good old Mickey Rooney.
he wasn't a Chippendale.
No, I was very, very, actually he had called several times. I felt so sorry for him.
Did he become a normal, or what do you
For a
call
little
it?
bit,
What do you
yeah.
call those guys?
We call him regulars.
Regulars. Did
Yeah,
he become a
became
regular?
client.
Mickey Rooney, you heard it here,
he
folks.
cried
Get
to me.
get TMZ
Brad,
on the phone.
I never have told anyone this publicly. Okay, you're the first person.
Hey,
But this
that deserves a
man,
bomb.
he actually, it is a bomb. He actually lied to me and started talking about Judy Garland because I was a huge fan of hers. Huge fan of Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite movies ever. Probably seen it 100 times. I said, "Hey, I watched your movies growing up. My mom and dad loved you. What was Judy Garland like?" And he started crying. He told me, "Annie, MGM," I'm not going to say anymore. I keep my mouth shut.
No, this is the
kept
good
us up.
stuff.
They kept us up.
They're gonna wanna
almost
buy your book.
24 hours. Telling us we had to dance, keep dancing, faster, faster, faster. You missed your line. Okay, get the doctors in here. Get the doctor. I mean, they were giving them amphetamines.
You're talking about Mickey Rooney?
And Judy Garland. Yes.
Oh, so what you're saying is MGM's executives were back then
Pushers.
were allegedly, because they could have been what they just told you. Maybe it wasn't true. So let's just say allegedly, according to Mickey Rooney,
trafficking them.
was basically trafficking them in a way.
Labor
maybe.
trafficking them.
In
Yes.
a way, maybe.
Yes.
But in a way.
Yeah.
Like Judy wasn't getting pimped out.
Judy was getting.
You're saying Judy was getting fed meth.
Yes, she was. But
by
also
MGM's people,
yes,
allegedly.
The doctors.
The
they hired.
doctors.
Now, here's what's really crazy.
To keep her dancing.
To keep her happy too. You got to think about it. The girl I'm from Minnesota. She's from Minnesota. She comes from this showbiz family. If you look up her history, it's incredible because she's a vaudeville star. Her and her little sister.
The Judy
Might have been her bigger
Garland.
sister. Yeah. That's how she got started.
Wizard of Oz, Dorothy.
Yes. And so when she was auditioning and doing different things before she became really big before Wizard of Oz, because that was her biggest break.
Who else?
Gosh, let's just wait. Let's just keep talking.
Dang.
Let me think about it.
Folks, you should write a tell-all book. Why not? Today
people like
is
to sue, Bradley.
Yeah, but
they like
Annie,
to sue us.
who cares? At the end of the day, today is the day of truth.
It's the snitch day.
It's the day of
Snitch 'em
truth.
all.
Like, how come we can't just all tell the damn truth?
Yeah.
Tell the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were a dirtbag in your old days and you changed, or a hooker in your old days and you changed, you're telling the truth now.
I am.
You could literally run off with Oz Fox here and never say another word about it, and quite frankly, be shameful and guilt by it.
And you're right. You're right. Because people have said to me, and I want to just be really nice about this. Some Christians have told me, "Well, Annie, if you say names, I mean, you're going to hurt families and I said, "But wait a second. That person, when they called me, they weren't thinking about me being hurt. Mickey never asked me, 'Do you have a pimp?'"
They didn't care. They just wanted to get their
The thing-
rocks off.
Exactly. So here's the thing. And poor Mickey, he really, honestly, Bradley, he wanted, and this does happen.
Rest his soul.
He wanted to talk to somebody, and he wanted someone he could confide in, someone he could trust, but also he could cry on.
Yeah.
Just like
Dude, there's
I hugged him and held him, and I said, "It's okay. Don't cry."
Yeah, but
It's okay.
look at Charlie Sheen's story.
Oh yeah, we all know about him.
Look at Heidi Fleiss. She said she had a black book so thick of
And
movie stars. Everyone thinks movie stars
I worked out
are
of
not
that
going to
book.
do it.
I
They're
worked
just
out of that book. I met many people out of her book, and I
aren't
was
they
working
just
with her.
aren't they just people at the end of the day?
Yes.
And guess
they're
what?
human.
They get horny, they get lonely, they get sad, they get depressed. They get the same thing everybody else does just because they're movie stars or television stars or rock stars.
And that's the thing too, because you have to really understand that people will innocently, they'll call because there's this urge, or there's this, not just a physical need, but there's this soul need to have companionship.
Well,
And it's really sad. That's the sad part.
I know, but there's also people calling you because they just did an 8-ball and they want to pound
So
something.
many. Yes, that is absolutely true. And also, there's a lot of men out there, and in women even as well, that they just want to use somebody. They want to have a body, and they just want to treat it like if they watch porn. They want to do what the porn says. Do this position. Try this.
Or
call somebody.
Or worse.
Yeah.
Like, they can't smack their wife around and
That's
force
what's
them.
scary. The other thing is see, and ladies, listen to me right now. The next door you knock on might be your last. And I want you to really think about that, because there are killers out there. You might be on OnlyFans. You might be a call girl. You might be advertising in a newspaper or an online call site somewhere. But trust me, every day that you do this, you're getting closer to your death. So if you're going to do this the right way, get your money stacked and get out now. Get out as fast as you can. Make an exit plan. If you want more information, contact us. But what I am going to say is, you're risking your life. You're risking your life.
Yeah. And I want to separate like what I would call like normal people, meaning there's obviously that would never in a million years consider doing this, but there's more than you think.
But then there's women that will marry someone for big money and then dump you later.
Well, that's better.
Well, it's the same thing.
It's still better though.
It's a gold digger and she's hooking to get her way.
Yeah, but it's still better.
If she doesn't.
Yeah, you're doing one. What do you mean, Oz? You're doing one for money. That's better than doing 100 for money.
Never one.
Yeah.
Well, again,
Black widows exist.
Guys, you listen. I can't argue because there's an exception, obviously. But my point is,
exceptions.
I know, but my point is, if I met someone who was divorced from an old man that she used to bone and got $30 million, and there's one dude, that's not a call girl. If I marry a girl that I know that used to just like line them up at the hotel room and take $1,000 a whack, that's different. Even though
he's getting more than that.
Even though I do agree that technically, is there any difference? Well, not necessarily. However, is there any difference when you marry someone and actually get divorced? Because it at some point,
it's all intentional.
I know exactly. That was where I was going. It's all intentional. It's all, what are you thinking in your head? So
if you're trying to get rich and find a man to get rich off of, that's wrong. You should be smart enough to be an entrepreneur yourself and make whatever ideas you've been given.
I wish I felt like a million hookers were listening, because then we're making a big impact here. I just think, I know, but I'm thinking 70% of the people listening to this are dudes. They're just laughing and
I think it's funny.
I know, but what would you tell the dudes that are listening that go to hookers? How many of them have AIDS? How many of them will roll you? How many of them will poison you?
They're not going to get a real love relationship from that. More than likely, they're going to get used, just like they're being used. I mean, the girls are being used. You're getting used yourself.
I know, but as a dude out partying drunk and wanting to get laid, I don't care if I'm being used. I'm trying to pay someone $500 to get the deal.
I understand.
And that's what most guys are out there hiring hookers for.
One time, it's a one shot. That's all you're going to get. But what do you really want? Because sex is always connected to intimacy somewhere on the line. There's an empty space inside that person that they're not filling, and they think by having sex, and it's also a physical need, right?
You talking about women
and men, but
I don't know about men. Would you agree with that? I don't know about men.
Some degree.
Men.
I mean, there's been times where, like, all we wanted was to nut. Like, there was no intimacy at all. It was like, there's a warm hole.
That's true.
It's better than beating it.
And I'm telling you something, because the testosterone levels in a man are way higher than a woman. And so, and I understand this because I had high testosterone levels at one point in my life. I understand that urge to want to just find someone and use a body. I've done it. I know. And it sounds terrible coming from a woman, but I really don't care what people think, to be honest with you. I consider myself now, and I'm really going to make you feel controversial when I say this, Bradley, because I saw one of your little memes that you guys did. I am a high value woman.
Now,
You
maybe.
want to know why? Because I've been there, done that, and I know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I would say now. You weren't a high value woman back in those days.
I didn't love myself, Bradley. And most women, and I'm not going to say all, because some of them are going to come on and they're going to, Annie, that's not true about me, because you're not ready to admit it yet, lady. That's what I'm going to say to her. But to be honest and real with you, I didn't know who I was. I didn't realize how intelligent I was. And I didn't understand the power of sex and the power of a brain.
You also didn't have Jesus.
I didn't. I had the light version, the one that you go to Lutheran Sunday school for, and then you never really participate. I tried doing that when I was about 8 years old. I came home. I went to parochial school just for about 2 years. It was probably the best time of my life as a little girl. So my dad was very abusive. I came home and he was on Quaaludes because he was really stressed out at his job. And I told my dad, and I never said this to my dad, I said, Daddy, you can't take drugs. And then the next day I came home, and it might have been the same week. I said, Daddy, you can't swear. And then he looked at me and he turned around and he goes, why are you saying this? And then he said to my mom, Joanne, take the kids out of the school, because I was getting touched by God and getting convicted and seeing people do wrong things. And I'm trying to tell my daddy something. But by the way, Bradley, I was scared to death of my father. I don't know what brought that courage into the little girl that I was, but I believe it was the Holy Spirit at the time. But after that happened and I got pulled out of that school, I kind of let Jesus go. And I want to start crying right now, because I met Jesus watching Billy Graham when I was about 4. I never forgot what that made me feel like.
What do you mean, as a little 4-year-old, you were watching Billy Graham and met Jesus?
Yeah. My dad said, you're going to watch this because what's that famous guitarist, honey? You know, singer, our favorite, the guy in black.
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. Yeah. They were doing a Johnny Cash concert with Billy Graham. And I listened to it and I looked at him, and I remember Billy Graham telling, do you want to go to hell? And I was like, no. I said, Jesus, forgive me. I want to go to heaven with you. So it's the first time I ever, said his name.
But I thought you said you met him then.
Like, to me in my heart, I did.
Yeah, but there was some point in your life where you something happened where you said, now you really were convinced. But I want to get to that in a minute, because that'll change the whole thing. I still have more call girl stuff to ask.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
So for dudes that are out there thinking about and often do participate in that, what would your advice be to them?
I would say, can you just go to a therapist, please? I don't think you really need to call someone for sex.
What are the dangers for them?
Well, the dangers are, of course, what you had said. There are diseases, although there are girls out there that take, like I was one of them, very cautious with whoever I was with, super safe. I mean, never did anything without. I think I did it one time, and it was actually a movie star.
Was that extra?
Yeah. But that's a whole nother story.
Would you kiss
right
them?
At the end? I did, actually. And
would you kiss them all, though?
Nope.
So there was no kissing?
No, you are not allowed to kiss.
See, I don't understand how you guys will open for business, but you won't kiss their lips. Like, you'll let them in you, but you won't touch their lips.
Well, there's no condoms for lips. So there's the answer for that one.
That is a good point.
And saliva has a lot of germs.
Yeah.
Right?
So you guys thought a condom solves all the rest.
And it doesn't.
Because I always tell dudes, like, oh, I wore a condom. And I say, dude,
they break.
Well, listen to this. I say, well, they break.
Lambskin doesn't hold them all in.
Not only that, but the juices flow beyond the condoms.
It's horrible.
But
you're exactly right.
When I say that to people, they're like, it doesn't mind. I'm like, that's because you don't unroll it far enough. But they all flow beyond the condom.
I'm not gonna laugh at that one. That's a problem.
Hey, but also, if I told you this girl has HIV, full blown AIDS, but here's a condom, would you do it? And they always go, hell no. Exactly. So the condom shouldn't be an excuse to have sex with some stranger.
You know, I would say to guys, listen, it's not just the risk of STDs. It's
Pimps could kick in the door and kill you.
yeah, but then also you could get busted. Also, you have to, this is the worst thing ever to call someone. Does that beautiful lady, because she's probably going to be beautiful or not. I mean, not everyone, I mean, everyone's got different tastes.
Depends on the price point.
Does she have it sometimes? Does she have a trafficker waiting at home? Someone taking her money.
In other words, have some empathy
Yeah,
instead of
so
screwing
he's
her.
Probably being raped with you doing it. You don't even know it. She's pretending she's acting. But when she leaves the room and she goes to the next call or the next person, then finally she's done with her night or done with 2 days, whatever. She's up 2 days because she has to have a quota for the pimp. She has to bring home 5,000, right?
And give it to the pimp.
Yes.
See, that's another thing I don't get. So, like, do you guys aren't, and you're saying men are stupid? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
If I was going to go be a hooker, I definitely wouldn't go give it to a pimp. Now, I
and
would.
That's what my first intention was.
I know, but I would want a pimp, meaning I would cut a deal with a pimp. Now, if he started getting handy like pimps do,
Oh, and
no.
Mm.
I'm gone.
Eventually they do.
But what I would
Yeah.
do is I would find a very strong man figure that could protect me, because that's what I'd pay for. In other words, I'll give you 20% of what I'm getting, but I need you to kick that ass and kick down that door and freaking collect my money or do whatever. In other words, I'd hire them as muscle.
I'll never forget. That brings up Randy. I had a bodyguard named Randy, and he was a redhead. He was a big dude, and he was just like all meat. Like, and he was like, I'm gonna kick someone's ass if I see anybody touch you. Because I was doing bachelor parties, and men would grab,
Yeah,
and
but-
he would just go,
But that's not a
"Dude,
hooker.
you're gonna do this one more time to her."
Yeah, but
and I
that's
would give him
not
pretty
a
good
hooker
tips.
though.
Well, you know, I was actually turning tricks at these parties too, Bradley. I would tell the men, okay, anyone here that wants extras, you're going to line up over there by this door, and I'm only giving you 5 minutes each. That's it. It's this much money.
And would they line up?
Yes.
And you just take them all.
Not all at once.
But
I boom, 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 get my money. I didn't have a pimp back then. So it was a good incentive for me.
How old were you?
I was at that time 19.
See, do you look back now and think, what was I thinking?
Yeah, I do. But then I think, well, what is my life's purpose? Because what had happened to me and what I had made bad decisions on turned into something good. Kind of like what Joseph, you know, he got sold into slavery, and he said he opened up his mouth to his brothers, which he never should have because they got angry and jealous. But he ended up becoming the leader of Egypt. And so the second in charge. And later he was able to save his own family from famine. So if you think about it, if I can be that person for anyone out there that's being abused, let me be that person. Let me take whatever mistakes I did and say, hey, there's a better way to do this. If you're going to do this, let's get you out of it completely.
So as you're out traveling around trying to save these women, where are you looking, and who must you hang around in order to find them?
Yeah. So usually, because we're in a place where people contact us. We have a lot of referrals, and girls will contact me directly on social media. We have a lot of different. What's that?
Anonymously.
Yes, sometimes. But we do outreaches on the strip, and what that looks like is sometimes we'll go into the strip clubs, sometimes we'll go to the porn convention, and then sometimes we'll just walk from casino to casino and look for girls that are working, and I can spot them a mile away.
Well, let's tell people, how do you spot them?
Oh gosh, you have to know. You have to come with me one day, Bradley. That would be fun, wouldn't
no.
it?
Hell
Come
no.
on, man. Come on.
No way.
He's been with me so many times.
I'll tell you why. Here's why.
You might pick the wrong girl.
No, because I firmly believe that if the devil is going to keep you from being successful, he's going to do 10 things. Number one, he's going to fill your mind with doubt and fear. Number two, he's going to distract you with instant gratification. Number three, he's going to surround you with negative influence and negative environments, which is what that is. Even though you're there for the good reason,
Yes.
Dude, that's a negative, bad place to be, walking around looking for hookers.
Yep.
And their pimps are around too.
Oh, no,
and
they're watching. Trust me.
yeah. So, I mean,
Oh,
at the
they're
end of the day,
spotters. Yep.
even though it's for a good cause,
dangerous.
I'll let you go ahead and do that. I'm not getting in that environment. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be around. I don't want to be clocked. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to be freaking connected to it.
And that's really good advice for who you are, because there's men out there that really want to do this. So it's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay.
Would you want people to go with you?
Absolutely. I love when men get involved and say, hey, I'm a bodyguard. I'll be packing. And that's normally how we do it anyway. So I have, bodyguards that come with us, and they're packing just in case something goes down crazy.
And she don't mean packing like she used to. She means packing
we pack
in a whole nother way now.
Yeah, we pack in heat. So
well, you almost need to, especially in Vegas. Are you in Vegas?
Yes.
So if folks, if you're walking around Vegas and you see this lady, you already know what she's doing. She's looking for hookers and call girls and trying to pull them out to safety.
Yeah.
She's trying to rescue these women.
No, I mean, not necessarily rescue.
It's rescue.
Here's one thing that some of the girls get upset when you say rescue.
It's rescue.
Because,
again, let's start telling the truth.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. They don't want to be considered that they need to get rescued.
They need to get rescued.
They want to feel independent of what they're doing. It's their choice. My body, my choice.
No, they're
Which I'm
confused.
not making fun of that, but the truth and reality is what you don't know that you're actually in, and you're not admitting it because you're stuck. Now, let me ask you a question. This is what I asked them. Can you leave freely and go anywhere you want? If the answer is no, might be being trafficked. Do you handle all the money yourself? And does anyone ever take anything? No. Yes. Answer that question. Number 3, do you have control of your own bank account, your ID, and your own way to drive yourself around and your own independence? And 4, are you isolated from your family? Are you able to call anyone you want at any time you want? And if those questions get answered no, you might be being trafficked.
No, you are being trafficked,
yes.
Or you're definitely being controlled.
You're being controlled. And that's the main thing with pimps. It's fraud, coercion, and control. And abuse, obviously. But
what about the lover boy method?
Oh, and that's how you get them. That's a good point to bring up, because most pimps are going to bring their game and their, I don't want to say hint, or it's called the life. They're going to bring their lifestyle to someone that is vulnerable, that looks like they're hungry, looks like there's a look in a woman's eye, or a little girl's or a teenager's eye, that you look like you're lost and need a dad. You need a daddy. So they are quick to zoom into that role to fill it and be the boyfriend that they're looking for, because actually they're not looking for a boyfriend. They're looking for someone to guide them in life. That's what a father's supposed to do.
They're looking for a protector.
Yes, a provider, protector, someone that guides you, that gives you the best advice ever. Someone that's going to tell you, hey, don't have sex until this, or don't even do it at all. Make sure that man has value before you talk to him. Make sure he's not a trickster. All the things that a good father would tell his daughter. They're looking for someone that is basically fatherless, even if daddy was home like mine was. Someone that just does not understand what life is and how it works. And if they can get their hooks in you just with attention, just with maybe a flash of a nice big fat diamond necklace, ring, Rolex watch. Watches don't always, I saw that one, by the way, Brad Lea. Watches don't always say who someone is, but to the pimps, they love to throw on a nice watch. They know the girls are looking, or a nice pair of alligator shoes, or some Yeezys, whatever the trend is at the time. Fashion is a way a lot of the pimps get the girls.
Well, I was going to ask.
The main thing is.
Yeah, but I was going to ask
money.
A question about the way pimps look, because when I'm walking around a casino, I don't notice a bunch of call girls and pimps sitting around.
No, but I could. It doesn't matter what color.
But I don't see dudes with alligator shoes and fedoras.
So that's going to be the 70s and 80s look, right?
What's it now?
Probably a jumpsuit. Kind of like, okay, do you remember when LL Cool J just started coming up in the 80s? Remember that?
Yeah.
I Need Love. Remember that song?
Yeah.
So do you remember his look? He had that hat on with the chain and
yeah.
That's kind of like the 90s kind of vibe, and kind of how the pimps were switching out their
looks. How do we spot
now.
them now, though?
A lot of pimps now.
Don't say nice watch, because otherwise I'm a pimp.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone's going to look like this, but a lot of pimps look like let's say an actor, a wannabe rapper, and they actually could be a musician too.
Are
Hey,
you afraid of
but not everyone, by the way, because some of them are just straight up businessmen.
are you afraid of pimps, like finding out about what you're doing? Because I'm sure you're taking some girls from pimps, and aren't they looking for you?
Sometimes, yes.
And how do you deal with that?
Oz, how do I deal with it?
Well, we've got security
Yes.
around the whole place.
Yeah.
There's no,
They're packing.
nobody's going to come around and start.
And no one knows where it's at. It's a
start
real
messing
safe
around.
house.
And nobody knows where her facility's at.
And
so.
that thing's called Destiny House.
Destiny House, yes.
So if
Destiny
you,
and Discovery.
so if
Suites.
you find someone and they need a place to stay, you even give them a place to stay.
Yes.
Because a lot of them, they have no place to go except to the pimp and or controlled pimp facility.
Or to a shelter. And I'm not going to down any shelters at all, but shelters usually have a lot of transition of people that come and go every single day. Pimps come in, pimps go. Women that are in there that have pimps come and they recruit women out of shelters. So we're real careful.
Why
to
do
make
the
sure.
shelters let the pimps in?
Well, they don't necessarily, but they let the girls that have pimps in because they don't know. And then they go and recruit new girls and new blood.
Yeah.
So that's the part that's scary about shelters that I don't like. That's why safe housing is the best option for long-term, the stabilization care that they actually need from the trauma. See, I didn't realize this at the time, Bradley, but I had complex trauma as a young girl growing into my teens. And that means you're in a space in your identity and in your soul where you're always afraid. You're always afraid because you don't really feel protected by your father. You're afraid of your father and you're looking for a savior. You're looking for that guy that's going to rescue you. It's basically the Disney princess.
Well, wouldn't
That
that guy, if that's really what they're looking for, why are they finding Tricks and Johns instead of Jesus?
Yeah. Ask that question. Why?
Well, yeah, I'm asking you.
Why are they finding Tricks and Johns? Because, there's probably, which is changing, which I love, there's probably not enough people like me, survivors that are strong, that will come out and say, hey, this is what happened and this is what's really going down. And if you don't flip and wake up, you're going to die too. Did you know that being a I don't want to say this, but some people call it this, sex worker, I call it victim of trafficking, is the most dangerous job for the woman or girl in the world. I wouldn't say a job for a girl because she's obviously being trafficked. Anyone under 18.
Well, again, only if they can answer no to any of those questions. Because what if they said, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can, and yes, I can. So they are 100% doing it by choice.
So
they're not being trafficked, but they are making a mistake.
They are, but there is a possibility they could be lying to, because most victims
they'd be
of
lying to
trafficking,
themselves.
it's called non-identifiable trafficking. They don't self-identify. So if they don't know, if they think that if their pimp told them and they call him their boyfriend, well, he said I can do whatever I want. So they consider that, well, I'm free. If he says, well, and I'm just going to put it in context of how you would talk to her, and don't get offended, Christians, because you're going to get mad at me what I'm about to say. Hey, if you don't like the way it's going around here, bitch, then there's the door, bitch. Don't let it hit you on the way out. That's how the pimps talk to them and to me. And he used to say other names to me that I don't even need to repeat here, but that's what they make you think. But try it. Try me. If you try to leave, and I did do that several times, I got kidnapped back, beat down to death. I'll have to get the book to see what happened with that, because I had 6 pimps watch my pimp beat me, cut all my hair off. I was butt naked. Sorry to be so graphic, but let's keep it real. Scared to death, getting pistol whipped. I got hit with a poker from a fireplace, an iron poker on my leg, and that hurt so bad. I fell down to the floor, and there was girls on the balcony that were all being pimped. My girlfriends watching me, crying. 2 of them were crying. The other 4 were like covering their eyes. They didn't want to see. They weren't allowed.
Or did they want it to happen to them?
Oh, they were scared to death. Trust me, because my ex pimp told them, and the other pimps that were around at the time, you do the same stuff this faggot ass bitch just did, you're next bitch. That's what he used to call me. That was my nickname. Let me just keep it real.
Oz has something to say.
Mad. He used to call me Faggot ass white punk bitch. That was my name when he was mad at me. I'm kidding. No one's ever, Brad Lea, this is crazy because you said keep it real. So I told you I'm going to keep it real. That's what he used to call me. They took it out of the book. But that's the reality. When I realized that my boyfriend that I fell in love with so deeply, thought I was going to marry him, was this gorilla pimp, I was terrified. But not only that, here's what sucks. I was in love with him. Terrified of a monster. But then I looked, wait a minute. My daddy's a lot like him. So it kind of fit like a glove. And that's what a trauma bond is called. So when your mind and your soul is so messed up from your childhood, when a pimp's beating you, I'm going to leave. You're thinking, I'm going to, and I did plan my escape, by the way. I stashed money, hid money everywhere in the house. You never even found it. I helped a bunch of girls escape. I was helping girls escape before I left him that came into our stable. Okay.
How long ago was this?
Oh my gosh. 1987, 88 with this first pimp to 92. I left him in 92 finally for good. But then I got with another pimp that was just as.
When did you get out of the business?
Out of the call girl business. The last time I turned a trick with the call service was in 2003. But I got out the first time in 1998. Then it's called squaring up. I squared up with the man that rescued me out of the business. And I started working at a car shop, learned how to be an entrepreneur, which is really cool. I had 11 employees and ran an automotive business with him for a while, but he was my trick.
Did they know that you had that past?
Yes, he did.
But your employees didn't.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
Yeah. They still respected me though.
Yeah, I could talk to you for an entire 10 episodes of just about this life.
I can paint a car and get it ready for Bondo and
not that
primer
life.
and everything.
Just more about this because we haven't even scratched the surface. But
you're right.
But
we'll just do part 2 later.
Well, I think what's important is what you're doing now.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what people need to hear. Either to support it. Someone asked, is it strictly privately funded or do you have any government funding?
We did have government funding, DOJ, but I let go of it because the way that they.
Was it DEI based rules?
At the end.
I know, but that's over now.
Yes.
So why don't you go back and.
We're thinking about it. Because
I'll bet you, because that was DEI stuff. Because you told me in the green room, tell the audience what they were stopping you from helping people, but only if you help everyone.
Yes,
including
and
dudes.
So let's just we help dudes that come to us, but we will not allow them to live in our home because our home is women. And for them to feel safe and our staff, we have to have a full safe female space.
And you're talking about biological female.
Yes, biological.
So there ain't no dudes there that think they're women.
But if they come to me, if anyone comes to me that is not a female, we always will give them services. We'll always meet them where they're at. We just don't have a house for people that are not female.
Yeah. Well,
and that's okay. They can find another place and we will help them do that. And we always do, because this is what's really sad, Brad Lea. There's, trans out there that they really believe that they need to be sold and that they should be abused by these pimps as well. And it's really sad. And they're stuck just like the women.
Well, maybe you can help a trans version who is in the situation you were. And then that person can go back and create housing for
and we've
trans
done that. Yeah.
women.
And I hope that they do, because you know what? I mean, we've helped and I actually have a couple we're helping them right now from a distance because they live in other states. But here's the thing is that when abuse is happening regardless, because when there are traffickers, by the way, traffickers aren't just men. There's women out there that are traffickers as well.
Sure. I was going to go there. I forgot. That's why I interrupt, because I'll think of things and then I'm wanting to
Heidi
just.
Fleiss. She didn't beat anybody, but Heidi Fleiss was a madam.
She was a trafficker.
And she
probably turned a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like to talk bad about Heidi. She's changed her life. She loves her birds now.
Has she found Jesus?
I don't know.
So let me shift.
Talk to her.
Well,
if she's listening, Heidi, call me. I love you, girl.
I want to shift it only a little bit because I want to talk about I call it a miracle.
I do too.
But because I mean, you want to save people from that life.
I do.
And I think you're probably also called to save people from life, which means, find your way home, if you will. But you found it somehow. I want to talk about that. But just to wrap up, and I want you back for more of this conversation, because I could sit here for 2 hours, but then we wouldn't talk about, the rest. So anyone listening, maybe you want to support her.
Yeah, we're privately funded too. So
privately funded. Yeah. So where do they go if they want to support you?
They can go to pinkchair.org or hookersforjesus.net. They both go to the same place. Yeah, and that's a play on words. Hookersforjesus.net. Get it? Fishnet.
And we'll leave the links if anybody wants to support her and donate or help in any way.
And I have a podcast and a TV show. It's called Annie's Pink Chair.
What's your podcast?
It's Annie's Pink Chair on
go
Apple.
Listen, yeah, go listen.
All the
go listen to her podcast, folks. But support her if you can. If something that she said resonates and you just by chance listen to Dropping Bombs and you are a female and you're finding yourself crying right now, I would highly encourage you to reach out to just, at least get some support. Because, there shouldn't be. And I'm the firm believer of, if a girl wants to fricking do it for money, like, dude, what about your daughter? Of course, I wouldn't want this, but I believe in, hey, it's your body, your life. But of course, you shouldn't be doing it.
Can I dig into that a little?
Sure.
Why wouldn't you want your daughter to do this, Bradley?
What are you talking about?
No, I'm just asking you that. I want to know what's in your
head.
What
do you mean? Why?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why?
Because number one, that would mean that she's sad and that she doesn't value herself.
Good answer. Keep going. Number two.
Well, she doesn't value herself. I would feel a failure as a father.
Yes.
I would feel like not good about what I tried to do, or at least failed to do. And then more importantly, because it's dirty, because it's dangerous, because like there's nothing that can ever come good of it. And all I want for her is good. So like,
tell the dads out there, tell them.
Well, no dad wants that. But they probably got a mismanaged kid that's running away, not listening, and they give up. And they're like, well, she's an adult. That's her business.
And
well,
they don't realize how self-destructing it is.
Well, not only that, but like, I don't care. Like someone asked me, because, as far as trans, listen, if my kid ended up transvestite or gay or whatever, that's their business. But would you want them to? Well, I wouldn't want them to, just for societal pressure and all the crap that goes with it. But if that's what made them truly happy, well, then, hey, I do think that they probably need God, or they probably need to understand that why is that making you happy? But let's just pretend for a minute it is what it is, and I couldn't do anything about it. I'd still love them, and I still wouldn't want them to be abused by a spouse or a boyfriend or a pimp or
absolutely
anything.
Because you're her father and you're a protector. And okay, so I'm going to tell you something. 2006 in December on Christmas Eve, I sat down. I went up to Minnesota, Wisconsin. I sat there with my daddy, and I made him some juice, and I had told him about maybe 6 months before that, when I hit national television, because I knew he was going to see the story. And because back then, no one was talking about this. Nobody was saying, I'm a call girl and I had a pimp and all that. And it hit the news, and it went like liquid lightning across the United States and then Europe. And then all of a sudden, BBC did a documentary on me called Hookers for Jesus. And it just hit the airwaves. And I sat down at the table with him, Bradley, and my dad started crying. And if you knew my dad, he was Archie Bunker, like the real.
Jesus, would you
like
shut up?
Oh yeah, looked just like him. Was everything 100% his personality, and he started crying to see a man cry like that. And he said, "Annie," and I said, "Yeah, Daddy," because I said, "Dad, I love you. Here's some juice, drink it, because I want you to be healthy. Your heart's giving you problems." And he said, "This is my fault." And I said, "No, Dad. I need to apologize to you. I rebelled." He goes, no. This is my fault. And then he told me his story about his father beating him as a child. His father was from Chicago, and so was he. But long story short, he had a really bad childhood too. And I said, well, Dad, you know what? We're breaking chains. It starts today. And then I started singing, because I like to sing, chain, 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 chain of fools. I was like, Dad, no more. We're done. The buck stops here with me. And he goes, I'm proud of you. And I was just wiping his tears and kissing him, and it was just probably one of the best moments in my life to see my dad have regret and say he's sorry. So that was so healing. He's in heaven now, but I know he's proud of me. He's like, that's the best things that can happen to that girl right there.
Well, yeah. And so if you're listening and you feel like she's talking about you, I'd reach out. Okay. No matter what, even if you think you're great. And even if you answer yes to those questions,
and don't
like
feel
if
ashamed.
you're selling yourself for cash, and believe me, like 10 years ago, I would have said, dude, and I've said this publicly, if I were a female and I'm going to screw anyway, I might as well
Get
screw
paid
for some big money. And
That's what I
dude,
used to tell my pimp.
I could literally justify that in my mind. And there may be women listening that are like, well, that's kind of me. Like, I'm not a hooker, but I will like get what I need to get, with
Survival.
my body. Okay. Well, again, guys, that just simply means you don't value yourself. That's what it means. And so again, like I would reach out, even if you're innocent and you're not a call girl, if you're finding yourself thinking about anything we're talking about and anything's resonating, reach out. So that covers everybody. And then the guys, like I said, I didn't really factor in your perspective of, when you're paying them, you think you're just, hey man, I don't care. I'm drunk. I just want to get laid. Well, think about who you're paying and what they're going through that you're not necessarily aware of, because again, that would change my tune.
Make them human. That's what I like to say. Make her human. Make her your daughter. Make her your best friend's daughter, your granddaughter, your niece, your sister, and then make it make sense, or your mother. Make it make sense that you're doing this, because it doesn't make sense.
What do you think about, I'm sure you've heard of Andrew Tate.
Oh yeah.
So what's your take on Andrew?
Andrew's a mystery. To be honest with you, we've had people that have called us about that over the past couple
Against
years.
him or for him?
I don't want to have a comment on that. But Andrew Tate, people have accused him. I can't verify.
Well, he's definitely being accused.
Yeah, I can't verify. And I would like to sit down and talk to him, actually.
Well, do you think, because again, they found no factual evidence or his ass would be gone.
Yeah.
They probably even tried to trump some up, which wouldn't stick. So if you ask me, Andrew wasn't a trafficker like everybody says he was. And if he is, it's by definition, technically, like he wasn't doing that. He was taking advantage of women. We know this.
I think he did admit that, didn't he?
I bet he does.
Yeah,
like again,
Andrew
Tate is not this bad devil guy everyone's got him to be.
I just think he's very misunderstood.
He not only that, I mean, he maybe as he gets older, he'll look back and be like, that was kind of shitty.
Does Andrew have any kids?
Yeah,
he does.
Yes. But
are they boys? Are they girls?
Yeah, I think he's got some girls. But you do hear Andrew talk about women a little bit in a way that, they're not as good as men. But I've listened to a lot of things where he's not saying that. And if he is, he's doing it for shock value.
You know what? I think Andrew is, as he goes, he's learning. And
Tristan. And again, he does have a lot of followers, male followers.
He says a lot of things for shock value. I do know that.
Well, that worked. Whatever he did, it worked, because everybody knows who Andrew Tate is.
I would love to get him. Maybe you should bring him in the studio and we should all chop it up.
Well, he swears to me.
Invitation.
He swears to me that he will do my podcast once he's free to do so.
Yeah.
And hopefully here in the States, so he's sitting right where you are.
Yeah.
But if he were here, I mean, again, other than the joking side of him, because he's a jokester too, they're funny.
Is.
But other than the joking side of him, I'll bet you at the end of the day, if he were sitting right here, he wouldn't be disagreeing with you. He wouldn't be like, yeah, girls need to frickin' spread their legs and bring me that money. Like, I don't think he thinks that.
Yeah.
But if a girl is willing to, would he not take the money? I don't know. But I bet you he wouldn't for the rest of his life, meaning even if he did at one point, he's maturing and he's realizing even that's kind of wrong. Because I always tell people,
that's good to hear.
Well, I always tell people, well, I could be assuming. I don't know what he thinks. I've never had this conversation with him, but I'd love to. And if he ever comes to my show, I'm going to be talking a lot about this. But like I say to people all the time, just because she'll let you doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
And there's a lot that will because she'll let you.
Yeah.
And again, like, dude, just because she'll let you doesn't mean you should. And that segues into the Jesus part of what you're here to talk about too. So what happened in this life? So you were a call girl, you were getting abused, and you were turning tricks, but you were higher end call girl. And then something happened. What happened?
Yeah, I got radically rocked. You know what, Bradley? This was they're going to have to get the book to read the whole part, but just the bottom line is there was a night, and I had actually overdosed twice in a week. I was doing coke, and the ambulance came, and I was so afraid because I don't know if you've ever had a heart attack. But
No.
It actually, not with everyone, but for me, because I was so doped up off the cocaine, it hurt.
What did it feel like? Maybe I did have one.
Gosh, it felt like an electric jolt to my heart every beat that it took in my heart, and it was going really fast, but it was painful, like right where my heart is. So I knew, oh my God, I couldn't. And then I went blind, and I laid down, and then my friend at the time called the ambulance.
You were doing coke.
I was doing coke, yeah, and then when the lady got there, she put me on the stretcher. I grabbed her hand, and I knew. I was like praying, Jesus, please. I don't want to die. And then I blacked out, and I remember looking at my body in a coffin, and I was dead. And my mom's coming up. It's a funeral, and it's dark, and the only light in the whole room is on me. And I'm in the coffin, and I look terrible, of course, because I'm, skinny from doing so many drugs. And she was shaking her head. She was just a prostitute. And I came out of it's like my body woke up, my eyes woke up, my heart, and I said, Jesus, no, I don't want to die. Just give me one more chance. And I promise I will stop doing drugs, and I will never turn another trick in my life. And see, at that point in my life, I had gotten back into the industry for about 8 months, but on my own. I did it on my own. I did not have a pimp. If I would say anything, the drugs were pimping me. Like I needed to go get my coke so I can get a couple 8 balls, so then I'd be good for a couple days. And I'd go back out there and stack some money and go buy more drugs, and then come back and self-loathe about what had happened to me all those years ago, that I had lost all that money, millions of dollars, by the way. I mean, millions. Thinking about how can I get it back? See, that's the thing. You can always get the money back, but you can't get your life back. Say that again. Yeah. You will never have another chance to breathe if you don't stop that crap right now. So that's when that light bulb in my soul went off, and I was like, I'm done. When that doctor came in the room and said, you should be dead, I knew. And I felt this peace just hit me from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I'm not making light of this or fun of it, but I felt like this calm. It felt better than any drug I'd ever had, any love tap I've ever felt, any type of holding from my mother, my father. It felt like this liquid of understanding and forgiveness and acceptance, and just home. Maybe kind of like what Dorothy felt when she was tapping her heels in a way. Kind of weird, right? And then realizing I don't got to do this anymore. I can actually help girls like me. Now, that light bulb didn't go off in that respect, like that day. That happened a couple months down the line, but I do know that Jesus at that moment, and what did you say about Jesus' name? Say his name. Yahusha. That day came oh my gosh, enveloped my heart. I have never felt like that before. And I feel like I was probably high on that feeling for at least maybe a year. I was like, I have to help other people. I've got to do this. I've got to do that.
You got a second chance.
Yeah. That honestly, it was a miracle. I don't even know how I'm even here. How did I survive that? I should have died.
Did you see anything, or you just felt this warmth?
No, I saw my coffin. So that was like a near death
You didn't
experience.
see Jesus.
I didn't see him, but however, a couple months after, I had a dream about Jesus. I got to see him and he touched me and he looked into my eyes and he didn't speak with his mouth. He telepathy told me I was loved, I was chosen, I was forgiven, I was beautiful. And it's like, wow. And so that's what I tell other women and other people that are searching for relationships and intimacy. There's only one person that can give you what you really, really need. And that's that soul shot of love, which is, we're missing it. What's our reason for being here, Brad Lea? Why are we here?
Why are we here?
Why?
What do you
There's a
think?
reason you're here.
What do you think it is?
I think, and what I believe, it's to tell people about the love that God has for them. They were created for a purpose to tell other people, hey, you are loved no matter what you do, no matter where you've been, no matter how deep and dirty you feel, that I love you and I created you for something really great. And it's the mystery of life to discover what that is. And once you find that sweet spot, boom, there's where the trillions of dollars will come. Whether that's through souls or money, or just that feeling of I'm doing the thing God called me to do. That's that. Maybe what you're doing now at dropping bombs. You're changing people's lives.
I'm getting there.
You're changing.
I'm doing God's work.
You're right, because if you are, you're doing a good thing because you're teaching people that life is something real, and you don't have to be stuck in that space of not making it, not having what you need in your life.
Well, that's for sure.
And always, we know that. What do you do, Brad Lea? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? What is my husband Oz going to do when I'm on my deathbed? If I get to the blessings to actually be alive, to know I'm dying, right? Sometimes we don't get that blessing. But if I was at my deathbed, what would I say and what would I think? What would it be? Oh, damn, Brad Lea, I didn't turn enough tricks. I should have never picked a pimp. I should have done it this way. No. I think I would say, I know I would say, how many people did I help? Oh, that's it. I help somebody, please. Can I add more people to this? To the light that I can give and the love. How many people can I love more? And how many more can I bring to what I've experienced? If I can give you what I've experienced, your life's going to change too. And that's why I do what I do. That's it.
And you never turned a trick again, obviously.
Nope.
And then did you start going to church every day? What do you think of?
Yeah,
What do you
I kind of
think?
did, but not necessarily every. I was like that's probably why I'm like a TV figure in a way. TV kind of brought me into. I started watching Joyce Meyer. That's my girl right there, by the way. That's my girl. Joyce Meyer kind of educated me on. Say Jesus' name again.
His real name?
Yeah.
His real name was Yahusha.
Yahusha. So she started talking about Yahusha, and I got lit up, and I was like, OMG. Does
she say that though?
Does she say OMG?
No, she says Jesus.
You know, I've heard her say Yeshua before, but not Yahusha.
Well, again, Yahshua or Yeshua is a older version than even Jesus, obviously. And Yeshua is a lot closer, but it's actually, if you look it up and get to the root, it's Yah. And by the way, the creator, Yah.
Yeah.
And the son, Yah. They both start with Yah, and one's Yahuwah and one's Yahusha, which believe it or not, Yahusha means my dad's salvation, basically, God's salvation. And I don't even like saying the word God, because that's a pagan word originally.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a title. That wasn't his name either. But to me, I have a firm belief that there's a creator.
There is.
And then there's Yahusha. And even he said the Father, like someone else. He wasn't trying to say he was God. Now there's arguments back and forth, and I get that, but I understand that, he also says to seek. Now, if someone said, who said that? I don't know if it was Yahusha or Yahuwah. I just know that we're supposed to look for ourselves. And the more I discover for myself, just it makes more and more sense that like scripture that says, they'll call upon my name. Well, my children will know my name. Well, what's his name? Well, Jesus. Well, no, that wasn't his name. And everyone who's got a brain in their head will agree. They just want to argue that, well, he knows what we mean. And that name has cast out demons. And, well, it's okay to call him that. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm saying that wasn't his name. His name back in those days was not Jesus. So we gave him that name. And then some people will say, well, it's a transliteration, dummy, and act like I'm an idiot. Well, I've already looked that up, and it's not a transliteration, and it's not a translation. Somebody gave him that name so other people would understand. And I get it. And we are all talking about the same person. But my question is, who had the authority to change his name?
Yeah, right. That's a good question.
Who had that authority? Some dude that decided I'm going to transliterate his name and just change it, because that's what it did. It changed it.
And
how does Yahusha sound like Jesus? And by the way, names are sounds. You know that?
Yeah, and vibrations.
But but literally a name, like if I speak your name, which the whole world was created with the word, right? Words matter.
They do.
If I spoke your name and I said your name was, well, how do you spell that? You can't. So what do? You try to arrange letters so people will mimic the sound. And so that's what transliteration really is. It's these guys don't have those letters and they don't understand this language. So we have to change the name so they understand.
I get that.
But it's supposed to be, you're trying to use their letters and their symbols and their knowledge to replicate the sound of that.
Yahusha.
And that's a transliteration. So if it was transliterated, it still would be Yahusha. Now, people can pronounce it Yahshua and Yahshua, and now all these years later, it'd be Joshua, because the letter J wasn't even invented. But anyway, I don't want to get into the name. Everybody knows that I know that, and I believe that at least I know his name, and I know there's a scripture that says my children will know my name. Okay, I know it. You don't have to know it. You can call him whatever you want. But so you found him, and then you changed your life, and now you're out there helping women not just find Jesus, but get out of that life.
Yes, it's a twofold thing. Like they always ask me, how did you get healed? And it's always, I say to everyone, you're going to heal till the day you die in your physical self, but your soul, you're already healed. You're healed, but you have to, your body has to catch up to that in your brain. So words are power. Yeah. I am healed in Yahusha's name. I am full. I am content. I am all I need to be. And if I died today, I would be at peace, but I don't want to, because I know I have more work to do. And that just makes me also say to women out there, what are you looking for? Why are you using men to get your money? Isn't there a better way to get money without using someone? In a way, the women are trafficking men, if you really want to think about it deeply. And without saying this in the wrong way, and I'm talking about predators. But when I started dating again, by the way, and I did date several Christian men, and one said I was supposed to be his wife, and then I was like, what? Oh, okay, good. You heard from God? I was on MySpace, and I met this man, and he said, I read your story. And at the time it was 17 pages long. And he said, you do a lot of the same things my band does. You go into places that no one else wants to go. We throw Bibles out to people in the audience. You go into porn conventions. I like what you're doing. That's how I met Oz.
And folks, if you guys are like, what? Who's Oz? What are you talking about?
That's my husband.
Oz Fox from Striper. He's sitting right here.
We've been married 16 years, honey.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'm going to have you back just to hear the Striper stories.
Yeah, it's crazy. So women always ask me, like, I'm dating now, I'm this, I'm that. Okay, here's something I do know. First thing, don't give up the goods. Okay? Can you keep that private for a little while? Because I tell you what, as soon as you do, he's going to look at you or think about you in a certain type of way. if he's not the right man, right? And he's probably going to just go to the next girl. Like, don't sleep with someone. Just don't. Wait. True love waits. If someone really likes you and is digging on you, they can wait. They can wait.
They will wait.
And you tell them there is a prize coming, and I value you right back. And I'm gonna let's do this together. Let's decide together. Okay.
Yeah.
Let it not be an expectation of the relationship. And then the other thing is, if this guy's paying for you, that's a great sign that he's a provider. Is it an expectation? Well, you get to decide that, yes or no. Do you want to go Dutch? Whatever. And then number 3, would this person die for you? Would he? Would he take a bullet? If I could say yes to that question, and you already instinctively know this is a man's man, this is a man that would stand against, let's say, a trafficker, my ex-trafficker. Would he do that? Absolutely. Then guess what? He's in. He's in. Okay. But what I do know is this: with Oz, I saw all those things and more. And I had a list, and I was making sure, Bradley, that I did not make the same mistakes I made before, because I was a relationship chaser.
Yeah.
Before I was a call girl, always getting my heart broken. And sometimes I was a heartbreaker as well, because I'm not ugly. I'm cute, and I can play games and do them with the best of them and use a man for sex just like they did we. And I'm going to be honest with you. I did that quite often. Let me just admit that. I got my little thing. They call it a nut. And then I bounced out the door, and they'd call me and like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm good. I got what I wanted from you. Next. So I know in a way what it feels like to be a dude, because I was so, I don't know. I think I was seeking so much to find the person or to find the it factor, which the whole time it was me finding myself in Yahusha when I come down and think about it.
Well, and not only that, like for a lot of the ladies out there that think, well, I love this guy. He's the perfect guy, but he doesn't want to wait. I've made him wait long enough. Folks, the right one will wait
Long enough
for
and
as
more.
long as it takes. Why? Because the
dang
right
right.
one will wait.
That's right.
That's all you have to understand is the
And,
right one will wait.
I mean, diamonds
Yep.
are helpful, but I wore a ring when I dated Oz, and it said true love waits. And right when I met him, I showed him that ring, and babe, was that not one of the things that made you get turned on by me?
Well, I would say that I respected you a whole lot for showing that to me and declaring that, which I had no intention of taking advantage of you in any way. I wanted to wait and show you that I could. So we held out until after we were married.
Nice.
Yep. And we did, and we made it happen. I can't believe I did that, Bradley, after all what I'd done, men I've been with, and then I waited. What? Yes, I did. Wow. And that's a medal. I should get a gold medal and a Grammy for that. And I should get an Oscar, because that was a great performance.
That's funny. Well, listen, to me, you're doing good.
Thank you.
And I'm the type of dude that doesn't hold the past against anybody. I'm sure people will watch this and be
I
like,
appreciate
yeah, but
that.
you used to be a freaking hooker. That's freaking gross. What's
That's
the Oz
gross.
thinking? How
She's gross.
do you live with that? And blah, blah.
She's new in Jesus, a new preacher. That's all I have to say.
A new preacher?
You're
Oh,
new.
a creature.
You're a new creature.
I'm also a sexy wife,
New.
huh?
I like that.
Well,
New in Jesus.
That's the good part of the candy, the eye candy. But
He
you're a
calls me eye
different
candy.
person. You're a different person.
Yeah.
now. So all of that stuff in the past is forgiven. It's under the bridge, gone.
I love that. Thank you. I feel like that too. I feel
Boom.
that too.
Well, folks, I'm gonna have you guys obviously back. You live in Vegas.
I do.
Will you guys come back?
Absolutely.
I
love it.
I want to do it when I don't have a big schedule.
Yeah.
Because I could have talked to you for a lot longer about several things, and I'm sure we haven't even scratched the surface.
I'm a great relationship expert person. So,
Well, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is we dropped enough bombs to give people massive value. We may have saved some people. I don't know how many hookers are following me, but maybe there are. I know that maybe we got some guys to rethink even engaging. I mean, from what I hear, there's a porn epidemic. I had a guy in here talking about people are addicted to porn. And I'm like, and in my mind was, well, what's wrong with porn? Well, then when he got done talking about it, it's like, dude, like, I'm like, I didn't really look at it that way. So if we can shift perspective, that's all people need to understand is if you want things to change quickly, change the way you look at them. And literally all of a sudden, wow, I got totally a different perspective. And that perspective is what's going to make the big difference. And that's all we're trying to do here. And I think we did it today.
Yes. Congratulations.
So
yes.
Annie, appreciate you coming in.
Thank
Folks,
you.
go pick up her book, Fallon. Okay. You can get it on wherever.
My website.
Yeah.
And on Amazon, but I prefer the website because I can talk to you and write a nice private message to you.
And what's your website?
hookersforjesus.net and pinkchair.org.
Yeah, and pinkchair.org. And then guys, if you guys are moved by her story and you want to hear more, she's got a podcast. She's out there. You can Google her.
And a TV show.
And a TV show. What's that?
It's on Dish and Direct TV. It's called Annie's Pink Chair.
Annie's Pink Chair.
I'm actually having one of our survivors that graduated our program 13 years come on. She's an entrepreneur now. I'm so proud of her. Got her own company, bought a house, and just like doing life the way it should be done. Right. So I'm just so happy to know that if I can touch one life and she can touch like way more many lives, that's all that matters.
Ripple effect.
Yes, that's what we're here for. So.
Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank
you guys go follow her on Instagram at Annie Lobert, Lobert, or at Hookers for Jesus.
Yes.
And as always, until next time, keep it real. All right, kill the live. Hey, appreciate you guys watching that episode. We'll be deleting this, so if you didn't see it.